Alright guys, welcome to part one. We're going to disassemble this engine, take the head off. Got started, remove the radiator. And it's just 2 bolts on each side. It goes in this side plates here. And I can remove the shroud. So got all the antifreeze drained out. Now getting ready, I'm going to take off the alternator. See, get the belt off, and then I'm going to take this pulley off right here, and that should remove this part, the fan part. So that'd be the next step. Alright, so I got that pulley off. It's 3 bolts holds it on. I did have to take off the fan first though. I couldn't, you can't get to those bolts without the fan coming off, so it would have been easier to have had left the fan belt attached to the alternator, but I went ahead and just used some big channel locks, and I grabbed a hold of that this pulley right here with the channel locks. Just grabbed it on the side right here. Don't grab it in the pulley. And got them off. Alright, so that's going to give us access to this whole front cover here. And we can kind of see what's going on. Now, there's no oil in this front cover. As you can see, there's a wire hole in it. So next step will be to take this top cover off. It's looks like just a few little small bolts, and then we can take the bottom cover off and look at this timing belt. Alright guys, to get this front cover off, we have to take this pulley off. And I had forgot, I ain't got my book with me. I got to get my book. But I forgot, I thought that thing just slid right down the side. We're going to use a 21mm socket. Sorry about that, I had to wait for that damn air compressor to kick off. Well, I was able to slide it a little bit. So I think if I got something behind there and kind of prized on it, it'd come. I did not want to. You don't have to take that thing off to get this off. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You didn't have to. I don't look like I tore it up that way. I was thinking you didn't have to do that. For some reason this whole crank thing wants to come with it. Alright. So looking at this timing belt, we got a stationary pulley, we got a tensioner pulley with a spring, and then we got a water pump. Now to get this thing off, we have to release the pressure on that spring. But I'm thinking that this should separate right here. I'm thinking that should stay on there. So I'm gonna try, see what I can do, see if it'll come apart. Now I replaced this water pump when I rebuilt this engine. I did not replace these pulleys. Well, actually I did replace that, but it was with the used one. Now on this head, we got a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. And we got a couple of marks. If you can see, there's an arrow and there's a 0 there. I'm not sure And there's another error. Get the focus right there on that number 1. So I'm not really sure exactly how this damn thing goes on. I'm gonna have to get my book to be able to time it back, but we're not gonna let that stop us right now. I'm pretty sure I can just take that stationary pulley off right there and relieve all the tension, and take that spring off or whatever. So the next step is going to be to remove the intake and exhaust. And the exhaust is what's going to be fun, because all that's welded together down there. So I'm not going to be able to remove the headers. I'm going to have to just lay them over as far over the side as possible. So I don't see anything on the timing part that would cause this issue. The belt still looks like it's in real good shape. I don't even see no cracking at all on this belt, which it don't have but 40,000 on it, so shouldn't be. Alright, so next step is the intake and the exhaust, and it's just a matter of unbolting everything. This intake's what's really going to be fun too, getting all these bolts. Alright guys, I decided I was going to see what this timing looked like, so I went ahead and put the bolt back in, put the cover on, because the cover has actually got the timing marks in it. And then I rolled it around until this mark right here. This little notch was at top dead center, and that put us at number 1 straight up. So I believe that's how it's supposed to be timed. I let number 1 with a little error. Well, all of them's got errors. Well, I think all of them's got error. Number 3's got an error. Yeah, number 3 and number 1's got an error. So apparently this is top dead center on the compression stroke, ready to fire on number 1 cylinder. If it was all the way back around, number 3 would be pointing up, so it should be ready to fire on number 3, and would be on the exhaust stroke number 1. So for now, I'm just going to leave it like it is. I can take that cover back off. I want to pull this water pump and test it. Well, actually, I'm going to take that cover back off anyway, because I got to get this belt off to be able to get this head off. So anyway, we're going to start on this next. This tangled mess of junk. Well, after a little bit of work, got this exhaust undone and got the intake removed. There's a little coolant line that attaches to the bottom of the intake that you can't really get to until you pull the intake off, and you set it up here on the valve cover and hook it up. Alright, so now we're ready to pull the valve covers off and pop this head off. Well, first I got to pull the valve cover off, then I got to take this belt off, because I got to get the belt off before I can get the head off. I'm going to pull the valve covers first. Valve covers are just series of bolts all around it, not no big deal. Alright, I didn't show it, but what I did is I unhooked that spring and removed the bolt out of this tensioner right here, took it off. That allowed me room to get this off. So right now I just got it kind of laid back. I checked my water pump. I don't feel any movement whatsoever in that water pump, so I'm going to assume it's still good. This bearing's still, ain't making them oil, still tight, and it ain't, you know how one does when they're dry. So the only other thing I got to do before I pull the head bolts out is remove this heater hose right here that attaches to the back of the head, and I should be ready to pop these head bolts loose. What we'll do, we'll start on the ends and go in to the center. and should be able to remove it. So I'll get to that point and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so I got all the head bolts out, and if I'm correct, I didn't have to remove this heater hose because it attaches to a pipe that goes around the back of the head. I realized that as I was trying to get it off. If I'm correct, I got everything loose. This whole thing should just lift up like that. I ain't got everything loose. There's something attached back here. I got a ground wire attached. It wasn't very tight. I won't lose it like that. There. Now we should go. I think something else attached to it. Pipe's attached to it. Oh, now, no. There we go. Now we're free. Find a good handhold. Sit up over here where we can see what's going on. I believe I see what the problem is. I believe, guys, we had a busted head gasket. Oh yeah, you can see it good right here. Between these cylinders right here. Yep, pretty bad too. Oh shit, that don't look good. I'm hoping that's part of the head gasket. But that's what it was doing. The damn compression was going from one cylinder to another. And you can see it right here where it was going back and forth between these two cylinders. So, it might not have been the head after all. Might just been a blowed head gasket. But I got another head I'm gonna probably stick on here anyway, just for the hell of it. But yep, I believe that's what it was. A blowed head gasket. And it was compression was moving back and forth between these two cylinders, exhaust or whatever, so it was basically killing them two cylinders. Now, as far as the cylinders themselves look, I still see scratches in there. So they look good cylinder wise. Yeah, never seen that before, but I'm sure it's happened before. Somebody's had it happen sometime or another. Alright guys, well, we're going to get all this mess cleaned up. It's probably going to take me a day or so to get prepped and ready to go back in. So until then, stay tuned for part 2, putting it back together.